Good day everyone. In this video, I will discuss the Coca-Cola history. But before I'll start discussing the topic, let me introduce myself first. I am Janet Nunez Acorda, second year college of BSHM Section B. How Coca-Cola was invented, grew, and became successful. John Pemberton is the founder of Coca-Cola. He was a famous physician in 1800s, but later tossed away his lab coat to join the army during the American Civil War. He was then made as the first lieutenant of the Confederate. During the American Civil War in 1865, he got caught in a direct line of fire and was slashed with a saber. So his doctors gave him a life-threatening drug, morphine, to ease the pain for his remaining hours. But miraculously, John survived. 20 years later, he realized that he was then addicted to morphine. So he decided to create an alternative which doesn't have a morphine content in it. And then he came up with the Pemberton's French wine cola. But later that year, prohibition law was created in America, and that led to the creation of its non-alcoholic formula. A year after, Coca-Cola was born. It contained extract from the coca plant, which also created the narcotic cocaine. After Pemberton created Coca-Cola, it becomes a little confusing. Different businesses were creating the drink with various agreements with Pemberton. He owned the name Coca-Cola but allowed different manufacturers to use his formula. There wasn't much proof of any of this, mostly being verbal agreements. During the first year of sales of Coca-Cola, it was a disaster. It only topped off at $50 with a sunken cost of $70 in supplies. Pemberton saw it as a failure, but Frank Robinson, his bookkeeper, saw it differently. He said that the loss was to be expected since the business was new. Robinson's optimism led to a more brilliant idea, marketing the remedy through banners, streetcar placards, and store awnings. John was hesitant at first, but Frank convinced him that it's a risk worth taking. Robinson wasn't wrong. Coca-Cola became a hit in Atlanta, and it's a victory. John and Frank proved that when faced with a challenge, tackling it instead of giving up can lead to a new heights of success. But in a strange twist of fate, John's health dwindled as Coca-Cola sales heightened. He was diagnosed with stomach cancer and relapsed to ease the pain. Worried that money for his family and addiction would run dry, he made the difficult decision of selling the shares of the business. But that didn't mean that he had a little expectation for the future of Coca-Cola. He believed it would become a national drink one day. He kept a third of his shares for his son, Charles Pemberton. At that time, Charles was in charge of manufacturing but later became a morphine addict himself. Frank then feared the Coca-Cola would have no one steer John's vision of going national. He took the responsibility of finding the right investor as John remained bedridden. Through a business contact, Frank met a wealthy and hardworking entrepreneur named Asa Candler. When Frank approached him, he told him that he didn't think that Coca-Cola was a worthwhile venture, but Frank knew better. Asa was swayed by the company's vision and bought the rights to the Coca-Cola name and for a secret formula. And just as Frank predicted, he wasted no time in building the company. He not only expanded sales to more pharmacies and grocery stores, but came up with an idea that made history. He gave out little slips that could be redeemed for a glass of Coca-Cola and soda fountains. At that time, they were considered a popular hangout spot and where many went to socialize. It was the first instance in history where a company gave out what is now called coupons for free samples. Sadly, John didn't see his entire vision unfold. With Charles' zone addiction worsening, Asa took over and founded the Coca-Cola Company. He led the expansion of selling Coca-Cola in every US state and then Canada but failed to create a demand in Europe. In Germany, anything than beer, wine, or water was considered for children, whereas in France, buying an inferior American drink was considered insulting. In 1899, two lawyers named Joseph Whitehead and Benjamin Thomas walked into Asa's office. Coca-Cola is already successful as a fountain drink, but what if it was bottled? The two lawyers proposed to Asa thinking that Fox could bring it home. Again, Asa thinks that it was a ridiculous idea. He believed that the future of Coca-Cola was in fountain drinks. Bottling was an expensive operation that he wanted no part. He told the two lawyers that they can bottle the drink for just $1 since he had nothing to lose if they succeed or fail. Afterwards, the two lawyers found other people to finance and build an operation to bottle Coca-Cola. It became one of the first franchising business in America. To Asa's surprise, customers patronized the bottled Coca-Cola. It became popular that competitors tried to create their own version. Example is Pepsi. Because a lot of companies are creating their own version of Coca-Cola, they decided to create a more unique bottle design that is difficult to copy, a contour bottle. That way, customers will know which of the products are the real Coca-Cola. In 1916, the year after Coca-Cola developed its contour bottle, Asa resigned from the company to be the mayor of Atlanta. He handed the company to his children. 3 years later, they sold it to a group of investors for $25 million, in which its value today is $373 million. It was the biggest financial deal at that time in the history of South America. One of the investors behind the deal was a banker named Ernest Woodruff. He took the company public that year. He streamlined Coca-Cola's production process and ensured quality was maintained when produced anywhere. Not long after, he retired and convinced his son Robert Woodruff to be the company's president. Robert was a marketing genius who worked his way up from being a truck salesman to general manager before joining Coca-Cola. Under his leadership, the company removed the amounts of cocaine in the formula. In 1926, the amount of Coca-Cola sold in bottles exceeded the number sold through soda fountains. Joseph and Benjamin's ridiculous idea inspired Coca-Cola's iconic packaging and paved the way for its continued success. 3 years before that, the 6 bottled packs of Coca-Cola was invented. Then in the year 1929, it launched a metal top. In 1933, automatic fountain dispenser was then created. It also succeeded in taking care of Asa's unfinished business, creating the demand for Coca-Cola in Europe. The company advertised, gave away, and sold Coca-Cola all over Europe as a refreshing import. Some bottles of Coca-Cola were in green with a gold foil seal to resemble champagne magnums, but some is in its original color mark red. This was the bottle evolution of the Coca-Cola. The first bottle that they created was in 1899 to 1902, which was Benjamin and Joseph idea. The next is in 1900s to 1916. This one has the gold foil seal. And then in 1916, the contour bottle, and in 1957, then 1961, they made the bottle clear. And then they made another bottle in 1991, which also is in color green, and then in 1993, and then 2007. Today, Coca-Cola is closely associated with American culture and is known as the national symbol of America. It's also the second most recognized brand in the world behind Nike. Every day, nearly 2 billion servings of its drinks are served in more than 200 countries. Before Robert retired from Coca-Cola, he kept a paperweight on his desk that read, "There is no limit to what a man can do or where he can go if he doesn't mind who gets the credit." So that's the story of how an 1800s physician turned soldier and his successor built Coca-Cola, a $7 billion brand. Thank you for watching.